Welcome back to the Hack of the Hermit series. This is still part 1, prereqs and practices for achieving mastery of the microcosm that you are. In these videos, we are learning the 7 keys for unlocking our magical potential. If you haven't already, please go back and watch the very first video, key number 1, aspiration. This is key number 4, dissolving desire. We're going to continue with our sitting practice, and we're going to learn about how the body and the semi-physical body operate together. So in the body we have these circuits that are sometimes called nadis, ley lines, meridians. They're the pathways by which energy travels and perfuses in the same way that our cardiovascular system has pathways, our arteries and veins that perfuse the body with oxygen. In the same way, we have these energy channels that carry oxygen throughout our physical and non-physical, semi-physical body. And there are 2 circuits that go around our body that basically feed all of the other channels. So in this video, we're going to become aware of those 2 circuits, and we're going to learn how to work with them, and connecting with them and meditating, using those circuits to send energy up the spine and back down the front, transmuting it. So sometimes these 2 channels are called the governor channel or the functional channel. It's also represented in occultism and esotericism. One of the most recognizable symbols of occultism has got to be that caduceus, the 2 serpents spiraling up the staff. Of course, the staff represents the spine, and the 2 serpents represent the feminine and masculine energy, the Shakti and the Shiva. This is the Ida and Pingala, that's their names. In Kundalini Yoga, this is the serpent that's coiled up 3.5 times, that you tap on the head and you say, "Wake up, man, it's time to go up the tree." And he looks around and he says, "Okay, if you say so," and he makes his journey up each vertebra as you do the work, do the practice every day. That's what that is. So you want to connect the 2 channels, and the way that we do that is we bring the energy that starts at the base of the spine and it goes up the back, and we use the focus of the Magi, which is the light of our awareness and our breath, and we use that as we're going up the spine. And it goes up the first channel, which begins at the base of the spine and goes all the way up the spine to the head. And the second channel begins at the head and goes back down, beginning where it began. And the way that we connect those 2 channels is by keeping our tongue at the roof of our mouth for the entire practice. So in order for Ida and Pingala to spiral up the staff and make their way up to the center where they're facing each other in our pineal gland and the 3rd eye, so that we have illumination, and even the 1,000-petal lotus flower opening up in our crown chakra for enlightenment. In order for that to happen, you got to start at the base. You got to start working with these energies. And in the last key, we learned about Qi and how to lock it in and begin our sitting practice. So now we're going to continue with that. And what we want to do is we want to join these circuits. And I'm going to show you how to do that in a moment. We want to remember to have gentle eyes. We're going to have our breathing is slow and soft and even and deep. And you're becoming aware of the rhythm of the breath. And so remember, in key number 2, breath, we were actually stirring the cauldron, and we were practicing fire belly breathing. This is way more gentle, and again, this is an integrated practice. All 7 keys go together to make a complete practice. So imagine that you just got finished with your aspiration, with your breath, doing the fire belly breathing, and now you've got your mudra, your asana, which is your height, and you got your inquiring into the pelvic floor with your awareness, and you're activating that energy center where it all begins. Now the practice really begins, and so with the light of your awareness and the focus of the Magi, you are beginning at the perineum, and you're drawing up the energy with your breath and awareness. You're bringing it up the back into the middle back. And from the middle back, you bring it up to the back of the neck and to the crown, tongue at the roof of the mouth to connect it to the 2nd channel. And you're going to bring it down through the 3rd eye, and you're going to swallow, allowing it to go down the throat, dripping into the heart focusing our light of our awareness and our breath into our heart, and you'll just let gravity bring it down into our belly. And the other thing you want to keep in mind is that you can do this as a very drawn out meditation where you can do one single orbit for 30 minutes or even an hour. Or you can do a complete circuit in one breath. And I recommend doing it in one breath. So this is what you want to do. When you bring it up the back, that's an inhale. So you're going to clench the muscles of the perineum just a little bit to bring your awareness there. And you're going to bring it up to the crown, connect with the mouth, and you're going to exhale. And you're going to do a hissing sound by opening your epiglottis just a little bit so it sounds like this. Kind of like you're clearing your throat, which is going to slow down the exhale quite a bit so that you have time to allow your awareness to go down the front channel, bringing it down where it began. Now, if you only were going to do one circuit, let's say that you have 10 seconds to kill, you want to do a quick circuit, and in-breath up the back, and out-breath down the front, and you're going to end in the belly because that's where we store our energy. The safest place to store prana is in the belly. So you don't want to store it in your head. You'll get Kundalini syndrome, you get headaches, irritability, and it's not good. You want to store it in the belly and you won't have any of those problems. So if you're going to do a couple of circuits though, go ahead and bring it past the belly and back into the pelvic floor, the very bottom where the perineum is, and you'll just do another circuit. And you can do as many of them. What I'm prescribing is that you do about 1,000 circuits every day. Like just do them all day long. Start with your morning practice. Do them as you go on the go. You're sitting there getting your rocks off. Nobody knows it but you. And then in the evening, do another practice. So at least begin with a 20-minute practice in the morning and a 20-minute practice in the evening with ongoing. So you're always circulating energy in the microcosm. See, that's the way you want to be. It's a new way of being in the world. And what you're doing is you're upgrading your nervous system and you're expanding your capacity for bliss consciousness, because your container for bliss isn't big enough, okay? And you can't stretch it overnight. Like you can't take a month's worth of vitamins in one day and expect your body to just catch up. You got to do the practice every day, be faithful, and trust the practices. So we're joining, in yoga, we're joining the circuits. We're being very kind. We're basically observing the flow of life force energy. And I want you to use this mantra, I see that I see. Because remember, we just got finished listening into the belly with key number 3, chi. And now we're going to go into a higher level of awareness, which is where we're watching the watcher. So we're not just watching and listening. Now we're watching the one listening. And you're going to hit that ceiling. And that's what you want to do. So you're kindly observing the flow of energy. And then you say, I see that I see. And just say that with each breath. I see that I see. I see that I see. And then the final thing I want you to do in key number 4 is I want you to let go of lack. This is going to sound familiar because we dealt with this during our standing meditation, but we're going to go back to this because you got to keep doing this. And so you want to smile upon the ego that keeps trying to hijack our spiritual practice. He's not going to give up, but luckily we're persistent, we're stubborn. So we're going to keep smiling upon the ego, and we do that just by accessing our highest intentions, remembering why we're doing this. Again, aspiring to adepthood. That's why we're doing this. And as we do that, we're connecting with the highest intentions that we can possibly muster, which dissolves the I that's trying to get the credit for this stuff, and even dissolves the I that thinks he wants to be enlightened, right? Because you're process focused, you're not outcome focused. That's the way you got to be in this stuff. Otherwise, your ego will hijack your spiritual practice, and then if you get enlightened, you'll be somebody who claims to be enlightened, and that is usually a self-deception and an illusion, because it's like trying to grasp the wind. You grab it. As soon as you start clinging, you lose it. It's like sand. It just falls out of between your fingers. But if you are never grasping, you're always transmuting. Tana desire into bhakti desire. So this is where we're letting go of lack, smiling upon the ego. We're joining the circuits, and we're continuing this sitting practice for a while. So if you enjoyed that, please stick around for key number 5. But as promised, this is the cigar that I'm smoking today, and it's a very strangely shaped cigar. Another cigar that gets negative reviews is the Figurado shaped Sun-Grown, and this is a cabinet series, and this is what it looks like. I've read reviews where people call this the ugliest cigar they've ever seen, and it's a very strange shape because it's tapered, but not in a typical way. It's fatter in the middle. If you can see that, the fattest part is where the wrapper or the paper is, and then it actually tapers just a little bit more at the end. But it's a great cigar. I don't know how they made this, but it's by Perdomo, and it's kind of a rare find, but I bought a box of these guys years ago, and I've just been taking good care of them in my humidor. And every once in a while, I'll pull one out and smoke one. This cigar is not complex, actually. It is not like, oh my God, that's an amazing cigar. This thing is so complex with, chocolate and toffee and almond. No, it's just kind of earthy and leathery, and it's not incredibly spicy. It's very mild, and but it burns evenly, and it's just it's a great cigar. Perfect burn. It's got you can see how veiny and thick that wrapper is. I think it's a beautiful cigar. To me, ugly is beautiful. I don't know what that's about, but the wrapper does come off, which is not like Perdomo. Perdomo takes pride in the way that they take care of their cigars, but you can see this is new, and this will just slide right off the cigar there. And to go with that delicious Perdomo cigar, I've chosen this whiskey that comes from Hitoyoshi City in Japan, off the island of Kyushu. This is a special limited release from Fukano, which will not be repeated. And this is Fukano Vault release number 2. And they made this to showcase their different expressions of flavor profiles, and this one's very flowery and delicate. I noticed that when you do a couple of drops of water in this guy, you start to get more of the flowers, and then ice kind of just ruins it. I didn't really enjoy it on ice, but I did like a couple of drops of water. I felt like it became more floral, and I really like floral. Any kind of floral profile, it really appeals to me. So it really brings out the flowers. And I like the art on it. I think it's a beautiful bottle, and it's I don't know if you can find this guy anywhere. I bought it probably a year ago, and I'm still sipping on it because I'm kind of a slow sipper, but just a little bit to wet the palate, when you're roasting a fine cigar. And so yeah, that's it. That's what I'm smoking and drinking today. If you haven't already, go check out my ebook, Roast Your Stogie Like a Yogi. You can find it currently on Lulu. And if you go to kingfisherleafculture.com, you can find a link to that book there. Thanks for sticking around, you guys. Grace and peace to you all. I'll see you on the next video.